Now, Michaela Brown, welcome to TCU. First, you're a doctoral student, Temple University, engaged in some of the most fascinating research I've heard of about privacy and internet and data. So thanks so much for coming in today.
Of course, of course. I'm happy to be here talking with you and talking with the future class.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and get started. I'll first start by defining what an algorithm is. I'm just going to kind of break it down and walk us through what they are. So basically, an algorithm is a series of instructions that tells a computer or platform or software how to transform facts or usually data about the world into a useful information. So the algorithm is telling the computer what to do or what to think, basically. And important to note is that the algorithm tells the computer or the software or the platform how it should be processing or thinking about the data to sort it and organize it for us users and us viewers. So the algorithms are usually written by coders who make use of machine learning. And machine learning means that the algorithms basically learn how to carry out tasks under various levels of human oversight. And these algorithms manage several tasks, which would be too tedious or even impossible for an everyday human to carry out alone. They're processing so much information at once that they are really needed to organize and sort all the information that we're putting online. And we need them in the machine learning to help us use these platforms and these software well. For example, Facebook algorithm tells Facebook how to properly operate. So just the daily usage of Facebook, but it also tells Facebook what posts should aggregate, how they should aggregate, when they should be posted, and where. And the algorithm is also what's recommending pages for you to like or deciding what ads you see. So these algorithms are completely dictating your experience online and on these social media platforms.
So would you say that ultimately an algorithm, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a mathematical equation that takes your past behavior on social media, in this case, say Facebook, and based on that, you have to predict what are the types of content that will be most relevant to you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the algorithm is a mathematical equation. Facebook's algorithm changes constantly. They have genius engineers working on this algorithm 24/7, 24/7, and it changes so that it's hard for researchers or especially hackers, right? You don't want your hackers to be able to just access your algorithm and change it. So they have to keep them up to date and just constantly changing so for safety reasons. So I can talk a little bit more about how social media platforms use them.
Yeah, please do, please do.
Okay, so as we've established, social media platforms need these algorithms and they use them to sort all the content that we see online, on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, even in our Google search results. So by that, social media algorithms can think of as being the defining technical means for sorting posts based on relevancy instead of publish time. Or if we're thinking about Google search results, the most relevant results or the most clicked or trafficked or the results that people pay for are going to be the ones that you see first. And social media platforms use algorithms to prioritize which content a user sees first according to their likelihood that they would actually engage with this content. And that goes back to the mathematical equation. The algorithm is designed to populate content that you are going to engage with, like content, like, comment, share, et cetera, et cetera. So social media platforms operate and rely completely on these complex algorithms to sort the massive amount of content that's being published every day.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's all about keeping us on the platform for as long as
Yes.
possible so we can see as many ads as possible, right? They want to make money,
Yes.
not just Facebook. We're talking about every single social media platform out there, pretty much. They all have algorithms.
Yeah, every platform, they want to keep us scrolling, they want to keep us hooked, and just our eyeballs are essentially for sale. So they have to keep our eyes focused on that app and that content. And there's been documentaries and studies that have talked about how these platforms are designed, their buttons, everything about the user experience is designed to kind of fix our addictive tendencies, almost like a slot machine or like going to the casino. So these platforms like really do force us to stay on them, scrolling, liking, buying things, donating money to nonprofits, whatever it is.
So how do the platforms benefit from these algorithms? So you just mentioned, the ad revenue, right? The engagement, the fact that we're all addicted to it. Anything else that we should think about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to also point out that the algorithms and they're designed to give us content that is going to keep us engaged. A lot of times that content might not be the most relevant or the most accurate or truthful. Usually it's just whatever is going to cause a strong reaction and keep us engaged. So often that's content that is very divisive or violent because they want us to keep scrolling and to keep reacting because they benefit from our reactions, from our emotions. So the content being showed, it's being showed in a way that's going to keep us engaged. So that content is often not the best content or the healthiest content. And I think that might lead to a lot of studies that have also come out about young women on the internet and how they feel about their bodies and their self-esteem. A lot of the images and the videos being shown, like I said, they're not always healthy, they're not always accurate. Um, and we have a huge generation of young people on their phones 24/7, kind of having these images seep into their minds. And it over time, it will affect anyone.
So let me see a question about the concept of privacy. I mean, it's a concept everybody talks about, but when we want to download the latest TikTok or the latest app, whichever the kids are into, we have to read this long disclosure. Nobody reads it. We say okay. Are we giving up, or is there such a thing as privacy in today's social media environment?
I would say short answer is no. In my opinion, there's no such thing as complete privacy anymore. No one even reads those terms of service agreements that we all just kind of click through as quickly as we can just to move on. We're always being watched online, and it doesn't have to be a very cynical, like Big Brother way, but we are. We're being watched, we're being tracked, we're being monitored. Every single keystroke, every single search query that we do in Google, everything we do is watched and it's aggregated and it's collected and it's used to then feed us more content and information. So even if you're using DuckDuckGo or you have the new iPhone, you have a little bit more say so in what ads are being served. Apple still has your information to maybe populate certain types of games in the Apple Store. So you're always being watched, and there's always going to be some way for your information and what you're doing online to be used in a way to be monetized, basically.
So I guess this is just a part of the new reality. Who's protecting the average user out there? Federal Trade Commission? Who's protecting us? FCC?
Yeah, and that's a debate, and it's a problem going on that lots of researchers, academics, people working in the industry are trying to figure out whose responsibility is it, right? Is it us as the users? Is it the companies? Is it the corporations? Should it be more government regulation? Right now, the ball is kind of like hot potato, so everyone's kind of passing it around. And as we saw with net neutrality a few years ago, you know, the internet providers, the Comcast, Verizon, they also have, interests to either have internet be more expensive or less expensive and to partner with certain providers like Netflix or Hulu. And nothing is equitable, and we don't really know how to like fix it right now because we have so many different players. You have corporations, you have internet providers, you have the private users, you have government institutions, you have schools. So the fix is unknown, and whose responsibility is it is still kind of being worked on. And I think as there's more transparency about how our data is being used and how we have little transparency about how it is being used as the user, we're going to have these more conversations. And as we see with what's going on with Facebook, they were obviously have been in court nonstop. We'll see how it's going to play out. But right now, we don't really know.
So wild, wild west. All right, Michaela.
Yeah.
So as we finish up, what words of advice, what would you like students to think about when they think about algorithms as related to social media platforms?
That's a great question. I would love younger people and students and anyone who doesn't know, who isn't that tech savvy, just to kind of take a breath and learn more about the platforms that you're using. Take a break from social media, and not in a techno phobic way, but just unplug and try to ground yourself and realize why you're on the platform. What are you there to do? Why are you using it? Is it to engage with your friends, your family? Are you using it for research? I think it's good for us to kind of reorient ourselves and to kind of reevaluate what we're doing with these platforms and how they're serving us, not just us spending our time scrolling endlessly, but really thinking about technology is here to benefit us. And if it's not benefiting us, then maybe it's time to try different technology or try something else out differently. So yeah, I would love for your students to just think a little bit more critically and carefully about what they're doing online and why they're doing it.
Those are really interesting points, and I'm not even sure if any of us really think about those things. We're so busy getting our likes and shares and our ego enhanced by social media platforms.
Yeah.
We don't really think about the price we pay. All right, Michaela, thanks so much for coming in today, and we appreciate all of your wisdom. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.